guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my journey unscripted. To all my loyal subscribers who keep coming back and watching my content, thank you very much. And to all the new ones, welcome, welcome. And I'm glad you've joined the family. And to those that watch my content, that watch the videos, and they do not subscribe. Guys, what are you doing? I mean, this is as free as it gets. It's free content, like it's for free. All you have to do is just to hit the subscribe button, and that's it, you're done. So please join the family officially. Thank you. So as you can see by the title on the video today, we're going to be doing a sit down video where we're going to be talking about how I settled in Ireland. So this is my journey, my experiences. Of course, everyone's experience is different, and there are a lot of factors at play that influence how you settle in, or the settling in period in a place. So this is just my experiences and my journey. So come on and let's. So the time frame that I took to settle in Ireland was also influenced by certain things. I always say that as much as we've been here for close to 5 years, there were those 2 years of COVID that are not accounted for in my mind, because everything was a bit sheltered and you're always indoors most of the time. And it so happened that when we came here in 2020, a week after we came in, we had our first lockdown. So as you can imagine, you're just in a new place. You don't get time to explore or, immerse yourself in the culture of the place because you're sheltered most of the time. So that influenced how long it took for us to settle in, and that affected our settling in period. So so I'm, like I said, I'm coming up to 5 years here, and it's not been easy, I would like to say, settling in. There were things that we had to adjust to. There were things that affected how we settled in, and that's what we're going to discuss today. First off, it's culture shock. You don't realize the effects of culture shock on you until you sit down and really think about it, and you see how much things are different to here and how you might be struggling with the settling in. For example, like I grew up in Zimbabwe, Africa, and I grew up speaking a different language. So my first language is Ndebele, and obviously the way things are done in Zimbabwe is completely different from the way things are done here. And it's the little things that take you aback or that hit you, like just being in an environment where people are speaking a language that you're accustomed to, and then now overnight you're in a place where people speak a different language. Of course I can speak English, but it's not my first language, and obviously I express myself differently. I express myself better, and I'm more myself if I'm speaking my language, if I'm making sense. So that affects you as well. And then there's also the food and in the area. Like it's when I first got here, it wasn't that easy to find Zimbabwean food, and I would say now it's gotten a bit better. If you really want it, you can get it, but there was a time when it was really hard to get the Zimbabwean food. So I mean, you're used to having like ischwala, which is pap, or inshima, or ugali, like some people would call it, and you're used to having it maybe every other day, and then all of a sudden you're in a place where you can't get the cornmeal, the maize meal to make it, and you spend weeks. So when I first got here, I spent 3 months without eating Israel, and it was the hardest thing ever. Like I was not copying really. You'd go on Facebook and you see people, posting recipes, and there's this chala, and oh my goodness, I'm sorry, but it was so hard. It was really hard. And it's those little things, like you're like, I can have rice, I can have potatoes, and someone will be thinking, but you've got all these other things at your disposal. You can surely make something an alternative. Yeah, I tried. I did cook all those things, but still it was different. It was not what I was used to. So that also contributes to the culture shock as well. And like I said, the way things are done here, it's completely different. Like the culture that the people have here is also different from what I'm exposed to, or I've been exposed to all my life. So, fitting into that or trying to get accustomed to that was a bit of a challenge. So definitely there's a bit of culture, and you don't even realize it. You find yourself withdrawing, you find yourself feeling lost, you find yourself withdrawn, and you don't know what's really happening. It's culture shock. It's there, it's a thing, definitely. It's there. There's also obviously people that also helped us settle in this place. We had we were actually privileged to have friends who had come here before, and my husband's colleagues as well, and my colleagues as well, who had come here prior to us. And that helped us a lot, because we managed to get information of how things work here, and that helped us a lot. So there was a lady who was my husband's colleague. We landed in Ireland on a Saturday, and then she came to us on a Sunday, and she gave us a bit of an orientation of how things work here, how to use the transport system, how to use the leap cards, and where to shop for food, for clothes, and all that stuff. Like, she was super helpful. She told us how to use the transport tracking system, like how to track the bus when you're at a bus stop, and how to read the bus stop signs and all that. I know those things might seem like they're trivial or they're not important to some people, but for us, when you're coming from a place which does things differently, we definitely needed that. So I was super grateful for her for taking the time to come and give us all that orientation. And then there was another lady as well, who was my husband's colleague and now friend of mine, who also showed us how to apply for the child benefit, who also told us how to apply for accommodation, how things worked as well, and how to order certain things online. And later on, she showed me how to order the African food online as well, Zimbabwean food. And that helped us a lot, because I had gone for a long time without having Ischala, like I said. So it was really, really nice to be able to order maize meal or cornmeal so that I can cook the food that I liked. So I remember the first time, like, I was trying to substitute the cornmeal with oatmeal and make ischala, and I can tell you, it did not work. It did not end well. I made amatemba, if you know those little, they're like anchovies, and I had those. I had brought some from Zim with me, and I was trying to substitute the cornmeal with oatmeal, and I made ischala using oatmeal. It was horrible. It was horrible. I didn't like it at all. It was really a waste of my good relish. So yeah, no. So I was grateful for such people that would point me in the direction of where I can get things that I can use. So like I said, the other thing we had challenges with in our settling in period was finding a place that sold Zimbabwean food. We eventually got an online shop that sold South African products, and we could get the maize meal, iwisa, and that helped, but that's as far as we could go. Like, we couldn't get all the things that we wanted. It was mainly, we'll just have it with beef, and you just have to make like substitutions, but good thing is that we had um, the maize meal, but we couldn't get all the other things. You know, the usual matemba, mfushwa, you know, the usual things that we're used to. So we couldn't get those. We just had to make do with what we had. And then we ate cabbage a lot because we didn't know where to get the kale until I discovered kale at Super Value. I was so happy that day when I saw a kale in Super Value and it resembled impita or skumawiki, or I don't know what you call it, rape or cove or whatever. So when I finally found that, it was like I struck gold. I was so happy, and yeah, it was the greatest feeling ever, really. And yeah, so there was a challenge trying to get the African food. And the other thing, when we did finally get it, it was expensive, very expensive. I'll give you an example. 100 gram of umfusha, which is dried vegetables, here, I mean, you can buy it in Zim maybe for $1. Here it's going for like €5, 100 grams. Like, it's not even enough to feed my whole family. So if we're eating, it'll be mostly me and the kids, or me with my husband. Like, it's not enough, or you have to have a side meal of something. And yeah, and a packet of beans, you can buy them also for €6, but you can buy a cup of beans for, you know, $1 in Zim. Like, the things are really expensive here, but it makes sense because these people have to ship it all the way from Zimbabwe to bring it here. So it does make sense, but it is expensive when you're comparing to how much you'd buy in them. So, and the other thing as well that we had to adjust to was the issue of childcare. So, as you all know, you're coming from a place where I didn't want to say it this way, but labor is affordable. I wouldn't say cheap, I'll say affordable. And you could afford to have a nanny or a maid. Most of us Zimbabwean ladies or families had one back home. Like, you can have a nanny, you can have a maid. It's affordable, you can do it. But here it's not the case. You can't afford to have a nanny. Or maybe let me put it this way, the regular people can't afford. Maybe there are those very rich ones that can afford a nanny or pairs. That's a different story. But when we first got here, we had to adjust to that. I mean, we're coming from a place where you would have someone help you with the kids, you have someone clean the house for you, you'd have someone to cook for you, you'd have someone to do the laundry, and you can concentrate on work. When you come back from your work tired, you know that the kids are fed, the kids have had their food, and you know, everything is in place. And if you're very lucky, you can find someone who can help the kids with the homework as well. So when you get home, most of the stuff is done. But when you come here, like, you have to be very comfortable with doing everything, because yeah, it's you just have to do it. So you will be coming from work, you still have to help the kids with the homework, you still have to help the kids, you have to cook for them, you have to make sure the laundry is done, their lunch boxes are packed, their clothes, their uniforms are ready for them for the next day. So it's a lot, and it's really draining. And for example, I'll give you an example of me currently. So I currently work nights, so I only work night shift, and it's convenient in the sense that I can be with the kids during the day, and I can do the school runs. But it's also draining at the same time because I don't get much rest in between the school runs and sleeping and doing everything else in the house. I don't get much rest. So what happens, our routine is, on most days, if I was working the previous night, my husband would come and pick me up from work in the morning, and on our way from my work, I passed by dropping him off at the train station, and he works in Dublin, so that's the city center, the city center in Dublin. So that's another city. It's like a 40-minute journey. So he takes the train to work to Dublin, and I drive home, and I get the kids ready, um, get them ready for school, and then take them to school. Come back home and sleep for like 4 hours or 4.5 hours, and wake up, go and get them to school from school. I mean, the minute I come back from school, that's it. I can't rest anymore, because when they come back, I have to help them with their homework. I have to feed them. I have to start preparing dinner as well, to clean the house, make sure the laundry is done, prepare for the next day, get the uniforms ironed and everything. You're preparing for the next day as well. And in the evening, go get my husband from the train station and come, and that's it. The day is finished, and we do it all over again the next day. So it's really like something that you have to get accustomed to. It's like a vicious cycle, but that's how it is. So you have to be comfortable to be in that space to do all that, because it's all on you now. There's no help is not coming. You are the help. And it helps also when you've got a supportive spouse or partner that's going to help you with all that, because you really need the help. You can't do it on your own, unfortunately, and there's no maid anymore, so it's all on you. So yeah, that's the challenge, and that's what we had to get accustomed to. The other challenge was finding accommodation. Ooh, I'm telling you, finding accommodation in Ireland, and especially in Dublin, is an extreme sport. I tell you, it's like a jumping hoops. For you to get the accommodation, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. The two times that we have had to move from our one accommodation to the other. So when we first got here, when company funded accommodation, this is the accommodation that the company, my husband company, had acquired for us, and we're supposed to stay there for 2 weeks and then look for our own accommodation. But did we get it in 2 weeks? We couldn't find accommodation. And what made things worse was COVID, because you had to do viewings, and people, because of the lockdowns, people were not doing viewings. And so some agencies were offering like virtual viewings and all that stuff, but it was really hard. And also, sometimes you go for a viewing and it's not just you, there are other people who are viewing, and I don't know what criteria they use to help you for you to get the accommodation, but it was not easy at all. So we did viewings, lots of viewings. You see a house you like, it's not entirely up to you to say, oh, I like that house, so I'm taking it. No, you might like the house, but the landlord might not like you, or the agent might not like you, or I don't know what criteria they use, but you wouldn't get the accommodation. So it was very hard. And what helped us was one of our friends. She recommended us to her agent, the one who had helped her find accommodation, and she vouched for us in a way, and that's how we got the accommodation. So it was like we referred, and she was like, these people are good, they're going to pay your rent, and they're professionals, they're going to help. And yeah, that's what helped us. And the second time, a friend of ours also did the same. She referred us to the property person, I can't remember the exact name, the property person that she had dealt with, she vouched for us as well, that no, they're good people, they're working, they're professionals, they're gonna pay the rent. So that's how we got our second accommodation when we moved as well. So it's really not easy finding accommodation in Ireland. I'm telling you, that's one thing that you really have to be, if you are contemplating on coming here, that's one thing that you should know, that finding accommodation is like so hard. So yeah, really hard, and you have to jump through hoops. And then the other thing that was a bit of a challenge was not a challenge as such, but something that I had to get accustomed to was speaking English all the time. I know, like, ish. Sometimes you're speaking to someone, like I said at the beginning, like you express yourself better in your home language or in your mother tongue. And obviously, it's the same with me. Like, if I really want to express myself, I I want to speak my own language. Like, so you have to be speaking English most of the time, especially in the workplace. And in my line of work, you are constantly communicating with people, means you're constantly talking to people. You're talking to the doctors, the physiotherapists, or whatever, whoever. Like, you are in constant communication with someone, and it's verbal communication, and it means you have to be speaking or in English. It's not easy. Like, there are some days when I wake up and my English bundles like are depleted, and I couldn't be bothered. Like, I can't. I try to speak. The English doesn't come out. So what I'm saying is, sometimes it really does take you aback, and it really is a challenge when you have to speak a language that is not your first language all the time. It does. You find yourself throwing in some vernacular words like ganje, godwa, and you then like, oh, sorry, did I just say that? But it happens. And sometimes the comfort of also going back home when you're visiting is being in an environment where everyone speaks a language that you understand. Maybe you're in the public transport and people around you are speaking a language that you understand, and you can also say it, like, speak it as it's all the joy of that. It's really nice. These are things that you take for granted, but they are really, really important, and it's so much fun. And for me, the challenge that at home we also don't speak one language as well, so we also speak, but it's better when you're at home. You can express yourself better in your mother language. But yeah, those are the challenges, some of the challenges that we had to face with settling in Ireland. So like I said, it's been a 5-year journey. It has had its ups and downs. Some of the downs I'll tell you on another video someday. But it's also it has also been an amazing journey as well. We've been exposed to a lot. We've had the advantage or the privilege of doing a lot as well. It has afforded us the privilege to also see certain places that we wouldn't have seen. And yeah, I am grateful. I'm grateful for all the highs and the lows. And like I said, every journey is different. Every settling in journey is different. This is just my experiences and things that I had to adjust to. And so if you are contemplating on coming to Ireland or any other country for that matter, these are the things that you might face. And yeah, I hope you come through a victor and overcome. And I hope you enjoyed this video and you watched till the end. So bye. See you in the next one.